Hey assholes, Pat Ryerke here, also known as the Patriarchy. So, New York City pulled some cuckery on us while we weren't paying attention, and it's pretty scary. Let me look at this article. This is from Huffington Post, and I hate Huffington Post, but they're definitely right about this story because it's to fit their narrative. This is horrifying news. This is Bill C-16 stuff. This is Jordan Peterson, Canada stuff, Smugly Puff, all that. This is stuff he's been warning us about for months. Maybe even over a year, I think now. He's been trying to warn people about this, and it's come to our shores here in America. It has come to the States. New York City tells teachers to call students by their preferred pronouns. So that means they're making it that teachers have to call kids whatever gender they want. So this is that controlling of the language, controlling of the pronouns. I don't even need to argue for this. Just go watch any of Jordan Peterson's lectures on this, or just debates or anything. He has all sorts of stuff about this, and he explains it beautifully. How doing stuff like this is just a Marxist technique that leads to a communism, and it is authoritarian. It is controlling. It is very controlling to tell educators what they have to call kids to make them feel comfortable. Um, and it's ridiculous because it's unlimited pronouns. A week after the Trump administration withdrew guidelines telling schools across the nation to provide specific protections for transgender kids, New York City is making progress in promoting their rights. On Wednesday, the New York City Department of Education released guidance saying that educators must take further steps to respect transgender and gender non-conforming students, such as by using their preferred pronouns. These include non-binary, gender-neutral pronouns that go beyond he and she. So this is Milo Stewart 76 gender stuff. Like if somebody wants to be called a pixie, the teacher has to call them pixie. In 2014, the city affirmed that transgender students have a right to use bathrooms consistent with their gender identities. These new guidelines expand on that idea and provide resources for educators to support students who may be transitioning. Schools must now use a student's preferred name and gender on non-permanent records for permanent records. They're required to use the student's legal name and gender, but documents must be updated if a student's legal name or gender changes. Further, the guidelines affirm that students should be able to play intramural sports teams and use locker rooms that match their gender identities. Participation in competitive athletic activities and contact sports will be resolved on a case-by-case basis, however. I'm thankful for us to have a document that has the Department of Education logo on it that says to young people, your identity matters. And who you are matters. That's all that matters is actually your name and gender, your identity. Like, this is scary stuff. This is telling kids that they don't matter as an individual. They matter as this identity, as this outside thing they give themselves. Like skin color, or hair color, names, or I mean, that's really what this is. This is a less accepting way to raise kids in a school environment. This is teaching them to be in groups, and be tribal and not think for themselves. This is not telling them to have an individual identity. It's telling them to have a broad identity that many people can have a shift. You can just change what name you want to use, because fuck it. You can just change what gender you want to use. The city decided to expand its guidelines after hearing from students, families, and staff who wanted stronger direction, said Jared Fox, the New York City Department of Education's LGBT liaison. The new guidelines address not only transgender children, but all gender nonconforming students. So kids who just want to decide whatever their gender is and get it pushed on them by their abusive parents. Yes, pushing transgender or gender fluid stuff on your children when they're not sure about their sexuality, I think is a weird form of child abuse. The same way that any kind of radical ideology is indoctrination on children is wrong. I don't think anyone should do that. In many ways, this guidance is just a first draft. Fox says the department plans to continually update it based on the needs of students and teachers. New York City's move comes at a particularly fraught time for LGBTQ students nationwide. The Obama administration told schools in May 2016 to allow transgender students to use bathrooms consistent with their gender identities, but the Trump administration rescinded that guidance last week. Thank you, Trump. Calling an example of federal overreach and arguing that such decisions should be made at the state and local level. I agree. I agree the government shouldn't decide these things. Fox City is proud that New York City, home to the largest school district in the country, is dedicated to providing a safe learning environment for all students. I'm thankful for us to have a document that has a Department of Education logo on it that says to young people, your identity matters and who you are matters. That sends a real strong message, Fox said. The issue will soon play out in a case set to go before the Supreme Court involving transgender teen Gavin Grimm. Grimm is currently in a legal battle with his Virginia school over its decision to bar him from using the men's restroom. The case could decide which protections transgender people are entitled under law. The case and the New York City Department of Education's guidance are about more than just bathrooms and locker rooms, though. They're about providing all students, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, with equal opportunities and safe environments, Fox says. Students have to feel comfortable before they can learn, he explained. If I'm worried about which line I'm going to be in or what I'm going to wear, that's going to impact whether or not I'm comfortable in the classroom. That's going to impact whether or not I can learn and achieve. So basically, the kids who are uncomfortable with a girl coming into their bathroom and vice versa, a boy coming into their bathroom, they don't matter. Their education doesn't matter. The majority, the kids that are the majority, because actual transgenders are very, very rare, and these gender fluid kids are just retards. I don't even know why they get the time of the day. You don't get to be gender fluid. Oh, I'm a little bit of everything. So of course it's probably going to be half the school because it's going to be a bunch of kids lying to be awesome. Because it's so cool to be trans now. I love being a trans. It's fantastic. This is annoying. I mean, this is something we got to get out there. I mean, people have to know if this starts in New York City, this go to other places and start to spread and spread and spread, and then soon you're at a position where you can't call anyone what gender they don't prefer at your job, at school, at any place. That the government will tell you what to do or not do. Now, I don't think the Supreme Court thing is going to go well right now for the trans community. I think they're pretty much set up for a big defeat here. However, the state by state level thing scares me because these cities that are liberal, like New York or LA, have a lot of influence. And I don't like them indoctrinating these young people in this idea that teachers have to call you by these things. It completely takes away the role of the teacher as your academic equal and this intellectual who's trying to teach you. Him or her is trying to teach you and bestow this knowledge down to you. And you're supposed to respect them as a teacher. It doesn't mean they're mean to you or be an asshole, but there is no reason they should have to call you preferred pronoun at all. They either have to say he or she, and that is just for simplicity's sake. That is just to keep it simple and streamlined, and that most people fall under that. When you start to get to all these variables, it's just going to make things complicated for teachers, the people who do paperwork, students. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is a complete waste of time, money, and energy, but they're just doing it to virtue signal and look good because there's this new narrative going around that half the country's trans or something. I'm so sick of a fucking small minority who has a mental disorder that has an issue with their brain that makes them feel like they're another gender get all of this catering. I mean, we already looked at an article not that long ago with the bathrooms, and now we're looking at this, and this is the stuff that I was scared wasn't going to come here. This is the stuff in Canada and other places I didn't think we were going to have here, but let me just tell you, you're probably lucky Trump's president right now, because if someone else was president, who knows how far this stuff would go over the next 4 years. I don't know what to add to this, really. I'd make jokes about this, you know. I could make a bunch of bathroom jokes, like, oh, here comes Jenny with her dick again coming into the bathroom. And, but this is really the kind of stuff that we have to fight. This is the real scary shit. This is the cultural Marxism. This is them using, force to get us on their side because they can't defeat us in debate. Because they can't win the intellectual battle. They have to force us to say the pronouns because they can't explain why we have to call people by these pronouns under any logical reason. You know, they can't explain it, and they can't win a debate about it against anyone who knows anything on this. The debate really should be over, but the left is tripling down on trans issues and LGBT issues, and this is just going to backfire because I think the majority of the country doesn't buy into this gender fluid, anyone can use whatever bathroom they want society. So I think it'll fall on deaf ears, but we still need to get this out to the people that need to hear this, and we need to try to stop this because I'm completely against telling people what they can say and not say. This is against the First Amendment, in my opinion. This is censoring of speech. I don't like teachers being told what they have to say, and we saw how it went in Canada, and it's not good. And it leads to those protests, and it leads to violence, and it leads to a lack of discussion. And it's not good. It's scary, and it doesn't lead us anywhere. This kind of stuff isn't progress. This is just trying to identify you in these groups so you don't feel connected to everyone else. It's really about dehumanization, because they don't want anyone to see that there's similarities between us. They want to make these kids feel like they're special so they can join this little club called the Democrats and vote for them in a few years to try to win the White House. This is all what this is. They're all upset about Trump winning. Well, we're not going to let you guys get away with it that easily. Sorry. I love trans people out there. Any kid out there is having trouble with their sexuality and gender out there, I sympathize with you. I'm sorry. But no, this shit's going to stop. And as for New York Cucky, I'm very upset with you. You know, I love New York. I love a lot of people in New York. It upsets me that it's such a big place. You're trying to push this kind of shit on them. And hopefully this doesn't spread. This could really spread like herpes, and then we're all pissing, and it burns. And it burns really bad. This is the Patriarchy. Like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your opinion in the comments. And until next time, go fuck yourselves.